Ogulagha Vanguards Limited presents daily newspaper review to start today the 7th of June news broadcast. This is Ogulagha Vanguards Limited, the true face of Niger Delta. We tell your story better.
Here are some of the dailies we've got for you here this morning. We'll start with Nigerian Tribune. Alleged 5.4 trillion naira fuel subsidy allocation. Atiku, PDP tackle Tinubu. It's a big story, and the rider here, there is no 5.4 trillion naira provision for subsidy in 2024, presidency clarifies. Disowns leaked documents on fiscal policy proposal. Well, that's been making the rounds for a while now, so they're following up on that one on the front page here this morning. Well, that's not all there is to that story. The Daily Times also follows up on that. Come clean of shady 5.4 trillion naira fuel subsidy deal. Atiku, PDP tell Tinubu, say APC government is cesspit of corruption, deceit. Asks president to be accountable to Nigerians, the Daily Times reports this morning. The national minimum wage, FG fails to present new offer, raises committee to fine-tune negotiation, says report linking it with proposing 105,000 naira false. Well, that appears to be point blank there. And then beneath that lead story, Akume asks Nigerians to remain calm, says Tinubu is working. So that you also see beneath that list story on the front page. CNG buses ready. Rice, other essentials arriving soon. Labour committed treason by shutting down national grid. So all of that story associated with the story you see ascribed to the SGF right there on the front page of Daily Independent. Have a look at New Telegraph next. Energy. FG's planned intervention to gob 1.916 trillion naira, $245.6 million, 4.5 million euros, ascribed to a report. Yes, that's how the New Telegraph reports today. And it goes on to say with the rider to pay 1.7 trillion naira electricity debt through bonds, promissory notes. And then Tinubu to global financiers, consider more investment in agriculture, others in Africa. Okay, we'll talk about some of those things in the program here today about security. And then you see the Guardian here, poverty amid plenty, growing nation of destitute as homeless kids invade Abuja Southwest. That's what you find there. And then Daily Trust, bandits kill 7 policemen, 35 others in Zamfara. Review security strategy, Senate tells Tinubu. Tambuwal calls for state of emergency. Yeah, so you see that one. And then Business Day, rising youth heart attack spurs cardiac care revamp. That's what they're reporting here this morning on the front page today.
I find that last one that we just saw on your screen very, very disturbing. On the front page of the Business Day newspaper, rising youth heart attack spurs cardiac care revamp. I remember while Chamberlain was still in Lagos at the time, and we had this conversation with a medical practitioner, a clinical psychologist, and I asked a question that I found, I found the response very intriguing. I asked, when we were talking about, the age at which people began to have anxieties, depression. Yes, that's the question, depression. And I was told by that clinical psychologist in the studio at the time that they had, as at maybe about 4 years ago now, been reporting children with heart attack, with depression, children with depression from age 10. Age 10. And in my head, the first question I asked was, what are they thinking about? And this story on the front page of the Business Day newspaper is cause for concern. We also remember not too long ago that some organizations in Nigeria, I think the Hypertension Society or something like that, came up with the idea that with the research study which said that about 70% of Nigerians are hypertensive. Now, add that, all of these troubling indices, to the one on the front page of Business Day newspaper this morning. It's a very troubling increase in heart attacks among young people, which has been said to prompt initiatives to enhance cardiac care capacities and capabilities in Nigerian hospitals. This is a cause for concern. Let's ask ourselves why this is happening. This is not just medical. What exactly is happening? There are many, many reasons that could be adduced to this. You call it peer pressure, you call it economic meltdown, you call it cyberbullying, whatever it is that you call it. This is a clear and present danger. We know that Nigeria is a young population. Nigeria has the youngest of its population within a very, very young age, people of much younger age. So this should give us cause for concern. If this is happening now, what will tomorrow bring? What are the opportunities right ahead for us? This is a clarion call, not just to young people, but for all of us to do something to take these figures down so that we have a future for the country we call Nigeria as of today. That's my take, Kayla.
Yes, indeed. That call to revamp cardiac care in Nigeria is a very important one. And like you said, very troubling. Young people, what's going on? What aren't we addressing? I'm going to look at the Daily Trust newspaper today. And it's packed. It's got quite a number of stories. Some of them we'll be talking about in the course of today's conversations. But of course, from the Defense Headquarters yesterday, they had their briefing, and we're seeing the details of that briefing on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Over 9,000 terrorists killed. 9,562 fighters surrendered in 1 year, according to the military. Very interesting. They're more on page 38 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And then, of course, this subsidy back and forth. Has it been removed? Is it still there? What, back, forth? No, it's not. Yes, it is. It's a lot. And we're seeing the federal government insisting that subsidy is gone. Atiku alleges lack of transparency. More on that also on page 38 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Chamberlain, this back and forth about whether subsidy has been removed. But yesterday we had Laulu on the program. Laulu was straightforward. He said anyone who's trying to say that they have totally removed subsidy would be telling a lie. It would be a blatant lie at this point. But we're seeing the presidential spokesperson, Mr. Onanuga, saying basically, no, you guys don't understand. It's not true. This is false. What do you make of this back and forth?
Well, they said that it's not, whatever source, wherever you're getting any narrative about, 5.4 billion or trillion, sure. There's no provision in the budget. It didn't come from official quarters, so you can't quote them. So you can only speculate until you maybe media houses dig a little deeper and try and see if they can connect any dots if there are. But he says, yes, documents are out there. Until they give you a final position, I guess we'll just have to see how all of that goes with the 5.4 trillion fuel subsidy provision. So, of course, you had the former vice president and PDP's presidential candidate Atiku say, look, government, you need to be a lot more forthright with the people, given all his reasons why they think that is. So we'll see what and how FG responds to all of that.